Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube NFL prediction segment, I'm going to be giving you my picks and analysis for the 2017 Week 15 NFL matchup between the New York Jets and the New Orleans Saints. Anyway, well, this really doesn't have any makings of any great competitive game. I think really the Saints are just probably going to trounce the Jets. I do see this at least being a very decisive win for the New Orleans Saints. When I looked it up last time, I think Vegas had the Saints at like 15.5 point favorites or somewhere around there. And to me, that's a very telling sign right there. It could be very ominous for the Jets. I mean, Jets have been competitive in a lot of their games this season, though they did get thumped, as many of you know, last week by Denver 23-0. And that was arguably the worst performance of the Jets all season. I think they had like around 100 offensive yards total in that game. I mean, you figure they got to be better in this game, but they're going to have Bryce Petty at quarterback, and he was just like 2 for 9 last week. And I mean, Josh McCown, of course, is out for the season, and it does not bode well for the Jets. The Saints have dominated this series in recent time. They've won 5 of the last 7. Saints are 5-1 at home. They've won 5 consecutive home games. The Jets just woeful 1-5 on the road, I believe. Now the Saints number 1 in total offense, and they're averaging 28.5 points per game, and they're in like that top 5 department in scoring offense. Now the Jets only average 20.5 points per game, and they'll be lucky if they even get to 20 in this one, considering they're not going to have their regular starting quarterback in. Now, and the one road win that the Jets had this season was against the ignominious Browns, and that was like 17-14, and the Jets really did not even look that good in that game. Saints have also had extra 3 days to rest in this one as opposed to the Jets. And the Jets have been are 2-6 in their last 8. They're floundering. They're struggling right now. Although, as I stated before, they have been competitive majority of the games, with the exception of the Denver blowout they suffered last week and when the Oakland Raiders destroyed them earlier this season. Now, I mean, last week, though, the Jets' offense looked abysmal and putrid. And you look at the Saints, I mean, obviously a much improved team this season. The Saints' once maligned defense is much improved at number 15 at total defense, number 11 scoring D, and also they're number 10 in passing yards allowed per game. And the Jets are likely not going to put up that many passing yards in this particular game, considering that the pass defense is good for the Saints, coupled with the fact they got Bryce Petty in the lineup. And anyway, the thing about it is for the Saints now, I mean, defensive end Cameron Jordan has obviously played an integral role. I mean, with 10 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 54 tackles on the season, he's definitely one of the mainstays and one of the better players on the defensive squad. And I think the one positive thing I could say, if anything, about my Jets is the fact that, hey, I mean, there was a lot of speculation and conjecture earlier this season about the Jets possibly tanking the season away. And at 5-8, I understand they're 3 games under 500, but they're certainly not going to be. I mean, they haven't been really too many teams doormats this season. They've been competitive in a lot of games. And if a team was tanking, they wouldn't have more probably than 3 wins on the season. They already got 5, and they'll probably, my feeling is they may win 1 more anyway before the season is over. I just don't think it's going to be against the Saints. The Saints are just too dominant a team, especially on the offensive end with Drew Brees. And also, the running game is something to speak of for the Saints as well. The Saints are 4th in the NFL in rushing, led by running back Mark Ingram. Now, the status on running back for the Saints, Alvin Kamara, is questionable last I had checked, but I think even in his absence, the Saints shouldn't have much trouble winning this game. Saints are also number 1 in rushing touchdowns. And now, the Jets' run defense probably is not really that great. And I think the Saints are going to have their way. They're going to run amok over the Jets' run defense. Sadly, I believe that's going to be the case in this game. And the Saints, also are number 6 in time of possession, so they have the ability to sustain drives, and they'll be able to play keep away from the Jets, I think, for a good part of this game as well. Now, another thing I could say about the Jets is the fact that, defensive tackle Leonard Williams has been one of the few bright spots perhaps for this team this season. 23 quarterback hurries this season, and it's going to be obviously critical for him and along with the other Jets pass rushers to get to Breeze and to put whatever pressure they can on him, because they're going to need to. Because you're going up, right now you're going up against one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, and being given that it's at New Orleans, it's just so much for the Jets to try to overcome in this game. And the thing about it is the Jets, too, have had their struggles. Speaking of running, the Jets have had struggles running the ball this season. Their running has been anemic to say the least. They're 21st in the NFL in rushing yards per game at about 103 yards per game. And they only had one game this whole season in which a running back has reached 100 yards. So very likely it's not going to happen in this game. And I think it's just the simple fact that the Saints are better in virtually every aspect of the game that compared to the Jets, and the Jets are just really outmanned in this one. And with the depleted roster, it's going to be even harder now to go into New Orleans and defeat the Saints. So I do like the Saints in this one. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube NFL prediction segment for the 2017 Week 15 NFL matchup between the New York Jets and the New Orleans Saints. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.